taking these neutral team fights later on. And speaking of junglers, already having quite a bit of jungle bans, WE taking away the Nidalee, the Lilian special, and I do like to see the Olaf taken off the map as well.
Yep, Olaf banned away. It's going to be Rare Adam onto the blue side, the WE onto the red, and we have yet to see either the Taliyah, the Pantheon, or the Udyr ban. This is a jungle meta. This is a hyper-aggressive time for junglers. If you can get the comfort pick for your jungler, you're putting yourself into such a strong position, even regardless of whatever you build around it.
That's true. So the thing to keep our eye on is obviously the Udyr. The Pantheon is still open, though we have seen his presence fall a bit, and then the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa has been a premier first pick champion for a lot of players here in the LPL. I would like to see WE ban out that Udyr, but you know, we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We got a couple more seconds before they've got to lock in that last one. They're actually abandoned Leona, so plenty of power picks to come in here for Rare Adam, and it looks like the tried and tested one, which will be the one they go for. They're going to go for the Kai'Sa. They feel confident knowing that Beishang will not pick the Udyr, and they should be able to pick that one up afterwards.
We have seen Beishang played in one game. It obviously was not a win, but I like the way Rare Adam are taking this and thinking, hey, we're just going to pick this Kai'Sa because we do still have enough priority junglers open. WE taking away the Pantheon, you still have the Udyr, you have the Graves, you have any AP jungler if you want to go for the Renekton in your top lane for the side of Rare Adam. So there's plenty of options left open. And for WE, I like what they have so far. They have the Xayah, been picked many times into the Kai'Sa. You have the self-peel, you have the ultimate, you want to kite back in team fights. And even the Pantheon provides a lot of peel later on into the game.
Yeah, and especially with the Essence Reaver changes that have come in, Kai'Sa far more of a viable pick. You don't really have to rely on those super scaling items. Feels a lot more safe, or a lot more comfortable, probably a better way to put it, going with that Essence Reaver. And there's the Udyr, so it's going to be an Udyr versus Pantheon lineup. And something we did not mention is that we do not have Shanks into the mid lane today. We have Yimong, who is going to be an emergency substitution. Shanks had a family emergency that he had to go and attend. He will not be available for the last 2 series before Chinese New Year. So of course we hope him and wish him the best and hope everything is all right with his family. But for Yimong, he's a super sub, and he's going to have to try and he's got a trial by fire right now because he's going into Fofo.
He is, but Fofo just locking in the Azir, so lucky for Yimong. He doesn't need to expect any like kind of high kill pressure coming into that mid lane matchup. Fofo's goal is just going to be to push the wave and kind of enable Lo Yen to look for the counter jungling and look to continuously full clear and cycle his camps like he wants. It's actually going to be Yimong who's going to be coming out with the higher kill pressure, bringing the Syndra a very potent mid-jungle 2v2, point-and-click stun coming out from the Pantheon, all the burst from the Syndra. So it's going to be a lot up to this young newcomer to provide a lot for WE this game.
And right now, looking at the two teams, it feels like Team WE are going for that, like we've always mentioned with the Pantheon, that pick composition, find someone, burst them out, blow them up, then turn to the objective. Whereas on Rare Adam, I'm looking at something that's kind of get Leanne ahead, look to try and get early lane pressure, and then move towards those big 5v5 team fights.
Definitely agree. Right now, it's interesting that we have both teams kind of indexing towards that area. I'd still say I prefer WE for what they've picked thus far. I feel like Pantheon does provide more in the 5v5 rather than the Udyr, but me and you were also saying that on our last cast the other day, that hey, you know, Udyr in these 5v5 team fights, he doesn't do much, but we've seen consistently when we see this Udyr, he has been able to just get so far ahead, he can very easily get that turbo chem tank early on and serve as that primary engager for his team.
And this is the big problem I always find when I see Udyrs. Udyr is obviously a great champion when it gets ahead, and I can see the priority on it, why people tend to lean towards it. It has such an insanely fast clear speed, especially when you max out that Phoenix stance rather than the Tiger stance. But you need something that can engage. Having the Udyr is not your engage. It should not be your primary engage. And we've seen it fail so many times purely because people are relying on this, you know, man bear pig to kind of run at people and just try and get those, you know, bear stance stuns off. It doesn't work like that, and the coordination from a lot of these LPL teams make it so difficult for that to actually work. So for RA, I want to see them get something a little bit more reliable engage.
I wonder if they'll actually go the opposite route of that and go towards more of a poke-oriented composition, because we see the Renekton coming out for the side of WE. This could be where you answer with something along the lines of the Jace, but RA going for the Aatrox. And I feel like as of right now, if we're just running in like head first into each other, still WE's comp feels a bit stronger. They have more priority in their lanes, especially in top and mid. So it's going to be quite hard for Lilian to just kind of do as he pleases. But in terms of engage, you know, you have a ton of engaged champions in the support role. We do see right now RA hovering the Alistar. I do think it would be a fine pickup. Not going to be as potent at that level 6 mark against Azaya, obviously with her ultimate, but still, it provides disengage as well to give room for the Azir to do what he wants in these team fights, but also gives you that combo with Lo Yen if you do find a way onto the likes of Emong Syndra.
And a little bit of a throwback to the 2020 Worlds meta, leaving the support pick for last. We've seen a lot of top lane counter picks on the red side and within the LPL this season, but this time around, Team WE going to go ahead and lock in Nautilus for missing. Has not really had amazing success in the LPL, and they did pick it last. They had full knowledge of what they were picking into. I'm curious what you think of the pick right now.
I'm still not too big of a fan of it, especially we've highlighted it, especially against the Alistar itself, where Nautilus did receive just a lot of nerfs slowly over the course of 2020. And it feels like Alistar right now, you know, if you do land a nice dredge line onto the Alistar, he's just going to, you know, pulverize you. He could headbutt you under his own turret or even away from his AD carry. He is tankier than you, sure. He might not have the same base damages as you, but he combos a lot better in that 3v3 as well. The one nice thing about the Nautilus is at least if you do have an Udyr running at you, you have Kai'Sa jumping in, you can just pop that ultimate and buy more room for your Xayah to deal damage.
Yeah, it is a point-and-click stun. It is not very difficult to mess up, and it does force a lot of respect from Fofo or from iBoy to be able to kind of say, look, I could just be knocked up at any point in time. I need to make sure that I'm either very, very safe behind my enemy or my own team so I'm not caught out by a dredge line, or I am 100% safe with my team just absolutely smashing their backline. So with two teams locked and loaded, I feel like both teams kind of got what they wanted, considering, you know, what we estimated would be their power picks coming into this game.
Definitely, we see WE going back to a tried and true composition. You talked a lot about Beishong having more impact when he does have that global with the Pantheon. Very straightforward 5v5 teamfight composition. I like that they do have the early priority in their lanes. And for RA, the only thing we were looking out for them was, are they going to get this Udyr? They do. Lo Yan's going to be comfortable, but at the same time, when he was popping off against Rogue Warriors, they were also winning in all 3 of their lane matchups. I don't expect them to be able to do that against WE.
We'll have to wait and see, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. We are on to the Rift for RA versus Team WE in Game 1 of this best of 3. And it looks like it's just going to be a standard spread, nothing too untoward, nothing too crazy. Level 1s from everyone's not exceptional, so not really surprised to see that. Have a quick look at the runes. Again, nothing really untoward here that would make you think that's very different. And I want you to talk me through the Phase Rush Udyr, because something we saw ages ago was like a Conqueror. Why has Phase Rush just become so much more powerful and more potent on him?
Well, we need to remember that Phase Rush did get a buff specifically on melee champions in 2020, so I think the duration of it did get increased, if I remember correctly, so it's just a lot more potent of a rune. I also feel like the level of the game has evolved to the point where Phase Rush is both an offensive and defensive rune. It's just very versatile, can be used in a lot of situations. Obviously combos well with the way that Udyr is also being played right now, of kind of being this pseudo-engage, even a bit of a pick-style champion where he's just so fast on the map with all the movement speed items you're buying. He could quickly gank top lane, move towards mid. Later on in the game, you can pretty much get on any immobile carry on the opposite side. So it has been the go-to pick for Udyr in 2021.
A very, very small note there I just want to make. It might be important. It might be a complete throwaway comment. We'll have to wait and see in the next 2 minutes. But iBoy used the Acathian Rain to waste a little bit of mana onto that red buff. They also cleared the ward that was onto the Wraiths. So there is no real information for Team WE as to where this Udyr has started. Now, coming down towards this bot side, if Team WE were overextended, we could see a rinse and repeat of what happened against Rogue Warriors last week.
We could, and the thing we saw in the bot lane is they are keeping the wave state neutral. It did look like WE's bot lane should be able to push out that wave and hit 2 first. It does look like they did, so they are going to be setting up for that bot lane play, but WE are aware that something like this could happen. They know that Udyr timing of, hey, he's going to finish his, he could finish his Krug camps around that 3:10 to 3:12 timing, can look for an early bot lane gank before transitioning to Scuttle, and they aren't going to let that one happen.
They're going to try their best at the bare minimum, as we can see both mid laners with their corrupting pots getting a fair bit of slaps in. It's like a wet noodle fight. You're just hitting each other, but then one really, damp wet noodle hits, and it's like, ow, that really, really hurt. But it doesn't actually mean anything. You just apologize and you go back to your fighting. So we'll see now if that one works. And as you said, Lian, might be going for Jomong. Immediately flashes away. They want absolutely nothing to do with this bot lane gank. They called it out. However, Jomong still loses his flash.
Really nice from RA. It's kind of unfortunate because WE did expect this play to come through, and thus far Hung goes in.
Whoa, very, very aggressive. They get the flash in as well from iBoy. One more auto attack will do it. First blood for Rare Adam, and they're answering onto the top side here. You can see Q being taken down. Beishang makes sure it's an equal enough trade. But action in the bot side and camp bot lane, that's what you saw, that's what we wanted to see, and that's what they're doing.
True, we didn't even see Lian have to get involved, just the pressure he brought earlier on when Hung was able to find that engage, forcing Jomong to blow the flash was enough. But moving to the opposite side, I like what we're seeing out of Beishang. We highlighted in draft that, hey, they're going to have more priority in their top half of the map. They're going to have more kill pressure in both top and mid. We saw Beishang hover around mid early on. Sadly, there was a ward that he did clear out. If not, he probably would have looked mid to try to blow Fofo's flash. Instead, finds the opportunity up towards the top side. And that's what happens when, again, we have the amount of burst in CC necessary to just keep setting up these plays. So for WE, it's going to continue to be about the top half of the map. And for Lian, he's full clearing once again towards the bottom half. Maybe for RA, they can look towards that first Drake. And like we said, for WE, see if you can set up another play, especially around that mid lane.
Pantheon doing as best he can to keep up on the farming, but you can see here Lian getting in aggressive, taking away those Raptors. It's just hard to keep up with the Udyr. The only big kind of win you get, I suppose, on the side of Pantheon is that you have the Grand Skyfall. You have a semi-global, pretty much global once you hit the level later levels, but ultimate that can shore up a difference if you're in a 2v1 or a 3v2. But as I say, that mid lane, Fofo forced to flash over. Nice roam from Missing, does get the advantage into mid lane.
And Beishang still waiting, has the flash up himself, but going back to your point about junglers, about it being hard for Pantheon to keep up, Pantheon and Udyr aren't even in the same race. Pantheon's off doing his own thing. He knows he can't outclear the Udyr. Pantheon is a lot more focused on getting his laners ahead, to where Lian, it's about himself. We're going to see trading in the bot lane, Penguin, but I don't expect anything to come out from this. The thing that I like is that we highlighted, hey, Lian can look for the first Drake. He does, and WE should be putting pressure on the mid lane. So both goals that we wanted to see out of both teams are being hit on.
And this is a great start overall for both sides. I feel like, going tit for tat, it's a very, very close for early stage. We expected the Renekton to have a decent laning phase against the Aatrox, and Lian, he has got flash. There's the unleashed power. The flash in, dredge line Missing is here. Last auto attack for the Syndra. Nicely played there by Team WE.
WE's bot lane being able to zone off iBoy and Hung. They are building up a wave, and iBoy and Hung both don't have flash available, so showing a bit of respect. It bought that window for Missing to move over. We already saw Emong and Beishang there, and yeah, it just led to that nice first kill. And once again, we're going to see both junglers kind of devolve towards that full clear. I don't expect to see Lian gank towards the top side. We do see that Breathe put down that control ward, and Lian should know that's there. And for Beishang, he just got that ultimate, so he can start looking for that play. But Fofo has no flash, so I want to see WE look to punish that.
Yep, no flash on either mid laner, so we could see it's a very short lane as well. Very easy to kind of just get on top of people, especially Beishang having his flash. As Lian does not get caught out by the Scryer's Bloom, but they did see Fofo, so they're pretty confident they know exactly where this Udyr is.
And this could...
Looking at the state of the map, it's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be hard for pretty much anyone on RA to make a move, I feel. It's going to be difficult for them to get any kind of agency apart from that bot lane, like you mentioned.
True, and I do actually think that WE are going to try to set up a bot lane play from spotting out Fofo on the blue buff, because they, of course, knew Lian was there. But nice from RA's bot lane to realize, hey, this isn't safe, we need to recall. And now it's going to lead Missing into going and getting Vision solo. And we've seen Missing punished a lot in these positions.
You see Missing go missing, and then back into the gray screen as Breathe and Cube go a little toe-to-toe up in the top side. Breathe realizes he maybe have taken the wrong trade here. Still has about a 20 CS lead, so not going to be too discouraged from that particular trade, and backs himself away. Well, Missing got a little bit of vision down. Immediately, Hong was out there putting down his own kind of setup, making sure that Leyen was safe to be in his own jungle, making sure that there was no random, massive Nautilus mans in any bushes.
Now I expect our focus to go towards that Rift Herald. It definitely should be WEs to take. We've actually seen this CS lead build up, just obviously naturally to the matchup. Renekton has lower cooldowns, higher base damages. When they did get off that gank earlier on, Breathe was able to force a wave into Cube's turret, so Cube did miss out on a lot of CS, and it got that Iron Spike Whip very early on for Breathe. And now they're going to be able to use their top lane pressure to just start up this Herald immediately, while RA are looking for a trade on the bottom side.
It's the opposite of what you expected. It's actually going to be Beishang going towards the top side. Lien still in camp bot. It's like Camp Rock, but far less fun if you're on the enemy team. And it is going to be able to work for them now that they know full information that, you know, the Pantheon was on the top side. But you can see the respect here by Jomong and Missing. They know they didn't have to go any further than they needed to. They backed themselves away. And Hong trying to see if he can find something. But Yimong knows that there's something up here. They know if they can't find something. But very, very obvious they're going to try and find something mid. Hong trying to come in here. Flashes in, gets in. There's the Emperor's Divide to knock him back. Yomong is still alive, though. Fofo! Ooh, he goes down. And they get the kill onto the Alistair. It took his Ignite to kill off the Syndra. And now with level 6 available for the bot lane of Team WE, do they jump onto iBoy? It looks like the answer is yes. There is the from the depth. They do not land the dredge line. Missing will take a couple of tower hits for his trouble. iBoy will lose his flash. And again, we're seeing this Hong moving into this mid lane. There's Leyen. They're going to force the flash away from Beishang. Breathe up into the top side. It's all go, go, go. Gadget for every single lane as everyone's trying to find as many advantages as possible.
Yeah, really nice reaction coming out from WE. We saw Beishang waiting in the wings in mid lane. They knew that play was coming. Realistically, RA didn't have any other plays available to them. They can't play towards the top side. Renekton is winning too much. WE's bottom lane is way too safe to dive right now with only 3 members. Both ultimates from Jomong and Missing can buy enough time and stop that one for Beishang to react. They look mid, 1-for-1, definitely in favor of WE for RA burning so many resources. And it opened up the window for Jomong and Missing to look for that dive, where they also were able to get iBoy's flash.
And this is why we hype up Beishang on these particular picks, the Pantheon, the Talias. These are the kind of things that he's able to do. His position, he just feels like he has a pure mastery of the champion and is able to make so many things happen from so little. Just the knowledge, the presence to know that there was going to be someone coming from mid lane. We kept a safe bot lane. We moved towards that mid. It's a fantastic way to kind of reset. Now they know the dragon coming up in just 2 seconds. They can maybe try and position around that. They got their bot lane to reset first. And now we might see, with both type Ps up and available, a 5v5 around this dragon pit.
And WE posturing mid, they do have the Rift Herald. They do want to drop it down and kind of exert some pressure on the map to buy time. But RA not even going to give them the chance.
Oh, Missing. Did miss the dredge line, well, hit it and then got interrupted, and then gets re-evaluated. There is no flash for Hong, but there is a flash for Missing, and that could be a key engage tool here for Team WE. You can see Hong just hovering off to the side. Lien trying to see if he can get onto it, but they don't have iBoy here. Far, far too dangerous to try and go for anything there, and I feel like the correct call was to back away.
Definitely agree, and going back to your point, ooh.
Whoa, can't go back to my point. As we can see, 3v2 in the mid lane. Yomong has not got his flash available. He will be sacrificed. Give Fofo an inch and he will take a mile. An opportunistic kill capitalized here for RA.
Really nice aggressive play coming out from him. You don't typically expect to see it with Azir putting yourself in harm's way to look for these picks. He does go for it. He finds it doesn't even have to blow a flash. And RA trying to capitalize off it by getting some deep vision in WE's bottom side jungle. Missing is there hovering, so they make sure that that's not possible. But it's like you highlighted earlier, both teams going punch for punch thus far. And I want to see WE make more out of Breed's lead in the top side. We see him continuously push out the lane and looking for this deep vision in the enemy jungle. I'd love to see Beishang and Yimong set up these 3-man invades, maybe try to set Luyan behind a bit, take some of his camps, and I think especially look for kills. You have such a very kill-oriented top half of the map. I want to see that utilized more.
Well, The one thing they're going to have to do is that Beishang is about to lose the Rift Herald. He needs to drop that ASAP. The only lane they have pure pressure in right now is that bot side, and that looks like it's going to be the focus for the side of Team WE. They even brought down Yimong onto the river to see if they could maybe just catch somebody out. Jomong, though, needs to be a bit careful. He's not the healthiest man in the world as of right now. Lian is here, so this will be a native 3v3, but they got what they wanted. They got the plates. Don't quite get the tower, but they got the use out of the Herald, and that's all you really want to get.
True, and I feel like that was just a byproduct of what you said. The Herald was timing out. Beishang already pathing towards the bottom half of the map. They decided to drop that, try and get some more gold onto Jomong. He's going to hand off this blue buff, and once again, he's going to be pathing towards that top side, so maybe going to be able to make use of that Renekton lead that we've been talking about more and more. And we're at a point where the game is stabilized a bit with a lot of summoner spells coming back up. Bofo's flash from earlier is already back up. iBoy about to have his flash as well. So it's going to be a lot harder to look for some of these aggressive plays. It still is up to WE, who have the ability to create numbers advantages with their pryos and with the fact, you know, they have a global ultimate in jungle as well as having the double TP. So for now, it's about WE moving more pieces around the map, whether that's Beishang hovering top and then 3-man roaming to mid and then trying to transition that into a play bot side. I think that's probably the best call for WE right now.
And I love how you said the stabilization, and I feel like the teams know this as well. We can see both Kai'Sa and Xayah going for the Kraken Slayer over the Gale Force. Oh, I have to stop myself there. There's a TP coming on the backside. Flash in on top of Jomong, who has to get the feathers fly. Fofo is here, and Fofo will pick up the first kill of this fight. Cube TP's in as well. Missing is dead and buried. Breed jumps in with the dominance, but he has nowhere to go with the Infernal Chains. That's 3 quick kills for RA, and that's just a fantastically played move from them.
And we actually saw RA be the ones to utilize the globals and create numbers advantage. That's what we were just setting up for WE, so again, really clean play coming in from them. And my attention was just caught by something completely different. If we look at Lian's build, he's building a Frostfire Gauntlet. This is not something we see on Udyr at all. Of course, this is about giving your auto attacks the slow, so I'm kind of interested why he would go for this. It's not, I guess about him being that primary engage. It's about him being able to stick with the fight, but we'll come back to that discussion in a second, as we do see RA are the ones to collapse when they see WE go too far forward. Fofo had already channeled his TP, and Cube was very quick to follow up. So again, they were just able to create that numbers advantage. Very good for them to spot that opportunity, and really nice engage coming out from home.
Yep, and yes, the Syndra was there, but you know, Yimong couldn't really join that fight. He was on the outskirts joining in, didn't really get any kind of positional setup, didn't really know how to kind of approach this, and that was just a straight up 5v2 that turned into a 5v1, and there's nothing you can do there on the side of Team WE. And great to see this from Rare Adam. Great to see them looking for those engages and looking to try and create a numbers advantage like you talked about. And like you said, just going back to our previous topic about, you know, kind of the big fights, this is kind of what I feel both teams are looking towards with the Frostfire. I feel like that's why you go with that. The Turbo Chem Tank is great for catching people out and maybe creating a little bit of a pick, but the Frostfire, in my opinion, does give you more of an opportunity to just go into team fights, sustain, and just be as much of a nuisance as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. You know, Frostfire also has the first part of its passive where when you take damage, you know, the emulate, you know, so you're dealing more damage, your basic attack slow. And WE do at least have the way to try to keep you at arm's length with the Scatter the Weak and then the Xayah ultimate, so I guess Lian just wanted to have maximum stick potential.
And there is no feathers fly here for Jomong, so he has to flash immediately away from Hong. Top mid lane, or bot lane turret does go down while this fight is going on. We can see Breed just stunned up, trying his very, very best to keep himself alive. He will take down the Aatrox and keep himself alive just barely, but Fofo with the Emperor's Divide, and he goes golden. It's all on Jomong. Jomong has to be the carry here for the side of Team WE. As you can see there, RA just haven't got enough in the tank. They will clean up this fight, and they will be able to get themselves a secondary.
Fofo tried his best, but the self-peel coming out from Jomong with that ultimate, we talked about how they're able to keep you at arm's reach. They did that. Fofo massive play, but it doesn't matter if Jomong is the one left alive. And WE should be able to get the dragon. They are going to take that one and back off, but the fights have been extremely close. We're going to see here Hung goes in. Great Scout of the Week coming out from Emong. We already see Jomong backing off with the flash. They're really safe in this corridor as Breathe is just buying them a lot of time. Dishes out a ton of damage, able to take Cube out in the end. Massive Azir ultimate coming out from Fofo, but look at Jomung. He is untouched and he's the big damage dealer for this team. Gets bursted out immediately, and even Emong was able to survive that whole time. So, you know, WE's primary carries were able to make it through. Again, exceptional performances, I think, especially from Breathe. Good scout of the week from Emong, and then Jomung was just never touched, never in harm's way.
Yeah, honestly, I really do want to really highlight the importance of that scout of the week from Emong, because it just makes Hong completely useless with that ultimate going. Nobody's touching him. He's not in front of his carries. He's not able to soak up the damage and the cooldowns. So that just basically makes that ult null and void. You can see just how quickly this cow just gets melted once that ultimate is down. Has got the turbo chem tag finished up for him now. And we actually see iBoy with the collector. So iBoy's actually on a pretty decent trajectory. Has 20 CS lead, 2-0 and 4 yet to die. And this is where RA could maybe look to try and find some, you know, advantages in this game if they're able to keep these items and level leads.
And it feels like his target is going to consistently have to be Emong, right? Because you think about Jomung, when his ultimate comes back up, it's going to be quite hard for iBoy to just get that plasma stack, get on top of him, and be able to delete him instantly. He will be able to buy time. But Emong not having any self-peel other than the fact that he does have the scout of the week, but realistically, he'll probably have to use that on some of the frontliners from RA. He shouldn't be able to hold that for Kai'Sa. So we're going to see iBoy have to come in with this assassination playstyle, and Hung and Lo Yen coordinating that engage.
Well, Rift Herald was spawned into the mid lane, is taking a bit of a battering, but it's very difficult for the side of Missing or anyone on the side of Team WE to get something. But this is a fight on two fronts, the two top laners going at each other. Cube and Breathe just trading ultimates there as they separate the fight. The Rift Herald did get its charge off, but importantly for Team WE, did not take down the tower. So RA still have that structure to deal with. There is a ward up the top side here. Where they want to go. I feel like if it's just a little bit of posturing, nothing really going to happen there. I feel like both teams were looking at each other saying, where are you going to go?
True, and it's because both teams kind of having the same 5v5, could devolve into a bit of 1-4 composition. The thing is, neither mid laner feeling that safe at answering side waves. I do think Azir has a bit more safety, obviously having to dash with his soldiers compared to the compared to the Syndra. And then there's slight differences where if you send someone to the side lane, Beisheng could be able to answer with that ultimate. But also, Kai'Sa is a very good AD carry at answering side wave plays, obviously being able to dash in with her killer instinct as well. So I think we're just going to continuously get to this point where it's like, hey, we're waiting for that next dragon to come up. It's about getting set up. We're both going to try and fight for prio through mid, and then it's who can ever get that position in river first will ultimately be the one who should get the Drake.
Whoa, you talked about jumping on top of Emong, and iBoy delivers. You called it. That is the exact target he wants. He landed the passive. He got in with the ultimate. Clean kill. This
is what we talked about with iBoy, the high variance playstyle. He's able to jump in and find these kills, give a lot of breathing room on the map for the side of RA. So this is exactly what you need to see, especially when he has that item advantage that you highlighted.
Fantastic play there from iBoy, and this is the guy that, again, we talk about that he is able to carry. You put resources into him, he is able to carry his team, and pretty much everybody on the side of RA is able to do that, and it's great to see him really looking like he's coming into form. And this is his pro view. He only has eyes for the Syndra, nothing else. He wants nothing else here. He just wants the kill.
And he has the two items, right? Kraken Slayer and the Collector. Very easy for him to burst him out. We highlighted how hard it is for Syndra to just instantly peel off the Kai'Sa. RA are going to be able to get this turret, so at least going to be ahead in turret trades. Is Lo Yen not in any danger?
There was a little moment of just kind of, you know, clenching, shall we say, on the side of Leanne. Is guys, where did you all go? But the big thing I want to kind of just highlight right now is that you look at the items on the AD carries. You now have 3 items for your Kai'Sa versus 1.5 for Azaya. And look at the gold difference. It's about a 2,000 gold lead purely in those AD carries. And there's only a 1,500 gold lead for RA in general. So that is just such a difficult mountain for the side of Team WE. They have to find this Kai'Sa and they have to burst her out.
Especially when you have 2 very similar team comps and how they want to play out these fights. I feel like the fact that RA's big carry...
Ooh, okay. They do get the dredge line, but then they jump straight in on top of Jomung. iBoy goes in with the killer instinct, and now the fight can ensue. Fofo with a great Emperor's Divide. The Shurima Shuffle is there, but Jomung is still alive. He's kiting. He's able to keep himself alive. Not quite long enough. iBoy died off on the backside, though. This is a fight again on two fronts. You can see Beishong finally falling down, but now Missing and Breathe, the two tanky boys, trying to be raid bosses here, trying to see if they can take out Hong and make this a 2v2 in the jungle. Fofo is there, though, and he is a hell of a lot of damage. Cube will keep hitting those sweet spots as he pushes forward and more forward to try and take out this crocodile. They almost get the Shurima shoulders on top of the crocodile, but it's a 3-for-3, very scattered fight.
But Penguin, this is exactly what we were talking about why iBoy shouldn't want to follow up on that killer instinct on Jomung. He's not going to have that ability to instantly execute him like he is with Emung's Syndra. And ultimately, I feel like these fights are at the point where they should be more heavily RA favored. We're going to see WE are actually the ones to look for the engage. They force out Lo Yen's flash early, but keep your eyes on Hung. He's going to find his way onto the Xayah. Again, not enough burst. Nice ultimate from Jomung, also flashes. Fofo with a great ultimate, though. They are able to find Emung early on. Jomung trying his best to kite this out, but doesn't matter if he doesn't have the turbo chem tank. Lo Yen is still too fast and goes down. On the opposite side, as you highlighted, though, iBoy ended up going down in a 3-for-3 overall.
And we are back to square one, back down to this Dragon Pit. It is going to be RA who have the advantage, but the key difference here, Sterix Gauge for Breathe and an Essence Reaver for the Xayah. As they go in, it's not stolen, it is being taken by RA. Now the fight can really begin. Scat of the Week is hit and lands onto two people, but no one's really stunned up, and now Jomung is dead. He did not have the feathers to fly as the Shurima Shuffle is landed by Fofo, and this fight feels like it's all RA all the time. Double kill for Fofo. The rest of WE trying to run away, trying to keep their lives, and they will lose that dragon fight.
Just too far ahead at this point. We know Azir's scaling absolutely insane. Getting to that now 3-item point with the Gnasher's Tooth. Doesn't matter if Xayah, can scale better than the Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is further ahead. Alistar, as we hit on in draft, is just tankier with that ultimate than the Nautilus can provide. And we're seeing in these 5v5s that when RA do execute correctly, when they are able to find their way onto the Xayah, that, things work out. Or I guess as you highlighted, this time Jomung didn't have the ultimate, right? So they were allowed to go in for that opportunity, unlike that previous fight.
No ultimate, no flash, no heal, no real options available to him. Has got the Essence Reaver, but it's still so far and away behind iBoy on this Kai'Sa. Again and again and again, we are seeing why Kai'Sa is such a priority pick in this meta.
And yeah, we're going to get a replay. We see WE try to go for the steal. They aren't able to find it. I want us to keep our eyes onto Jomung because he is the key member. And Hung and Lo Yen just run up to him instantly. They ignore all the other members of WE. He goes down, and now for WE, they just don't have the damage source to win this. Emung went down as well, and it just leaves Breathe in a very awkward position.
And you can see the difference between Jomung staying alive and Jomung dying. There was an awful lot of low health bars there, courtesy of Breathe, to be able to maybe clean up there. You get the, the feathers flying, you get the pullback, you're able to make those opportunities happen. You get the CC, the damage down. That's a very, very different team fight. And you might be able to come out on top, but without those carries, without Yimeng and Jomung on your side, able to put out that DPS, it's just not going to work for you. Now with the Baron buff, now with a 6,000, nearly 7,000 gold lead, RA, they're going to look to try and put the finishing touches on this game.
And I like the way they're playing it. It's a 2-lane setup. They don't need to go for the 1-3-1 as we highlighted earlier. They can just keep buffing up this wave, let Cube do what he does best in the mid lane, and then keep rotating back and forth. They should be able to take this one. Right now, WE don't have the wave clear to answer.
There's the Grand Skyfall, but it's towards the back. I feel like, I don't know about that one, Chief. That was a little bit of a reserved ultimate there from Beishong. Didn't want to give up his life, but also wanted to try and find some kind of engage. Now Cube, 2v1 into the mid lane. He doesn't really have the support just yet. Just dash himself over the wall. Has popped the World Ender, so he will not have that. However, there will be no dominance either for Breathe. Missing goes in on the dredge line, only hits a minion. And you can see iBoy and Hong just keeping themselves there, keeping themselves safe. Lian will tank as many of these Scat of the Weeks as you possibly throw at him because he does not care. Jomon gets tagged up by the Void Seeker, but they got what they came for. They got themselves the inhibitor on the top side of the map. It's going to make defending this dragon in minute 45 seconds very, very difficult for the side of Team WE.
And for RA, right, you get your resets off, you group down towards the bottom lane. I think you keep Cube in mid, you get your deep wards in the bottom side jungle, and again, it's about coordinating those waves, trying to get that bottom side inner turret, and then you're probably going to back off, take the dragon, and then look to continue your push once again.
So for TWE, where do you try and find the avenue back into this game? Because it's not impossible. The damage is there. The scaling is very much there. But where do you start to look if you want to try and come back and really make a meal of this first game?
I feel like the problem is that RA's comp is more of a 2-threat composition compared to what is currently a 1-threat for WE. So even if you find an instant pick in a 5v5 on iBoy, you still have Fofo to deal with and vice versa. So theoretically, you need to pick someone off in a side lane first. The problem is that RA aren't sending anyone to a side lane, so all you could really do is try to all-in mid onto Cube. And Cube has Flash, Cube is World Ender again. I don't think you can take him down before RA can take more structures and bot.
Wuhang does not quite get the combination, but still has his flash engaged. They drop down the Shurima's Legacy there to keep themselves from getting flanked, and this was what makes it very difficult. This is what makes it very hard for the side of Team WE to try and find anything. What you want from Breed, which in fairness to him, he has done rather successfully, has been to be able to get behind these back lines, be able to dish down as much damage as physically possible, but he's only one sad crocodile. You know, crocodile tears are real. He is crying right now because he has just not been able to have the support from his team to make these plays stick.
And the problem is, even if he jumps on the backline, RA's backline, oh wait, we see a flank coming in, Penguin.
Speak of it, but this is it, this is what I just said. You can't flank on this.
God.
It's impossible for you to flank on this. It's just not gonna happen. They do land themselves. There's the Grand Skyfall jumping in. They maybe have to burst down the Aatrox, but he goes golden just in time, missing, flashes away. There is iBoy flying in on top of Yomong, the target that he needs to get. The feathers have been flying. They will find their first kill. It will go over to Team WE. They will just keep missing alive. However, the damage is done. Never mind, he falls to the scorch of Fofo. They will be able to break open another inhibitor, and this is why it's so infuriating to play against the Azir in the late game. Those turrets are game-changing.
I mean, you even think about it, right? My point before he did that was going to be, even if you're Breathe and you get on the backline, both of their backliners have a way to maneuver away. Like, Kai'Sa could just instantly be like, oh, Renekton's here, I'm going to jump onto Syndra. Azir as well can take the shoulders, can pop the Shurima Shuffle, and, you know, kind of send the backline members of WE into his frontliners, which we've seen consistently. We're going to get a replay of this again. Breathe looking for this, unfortunately, first standing on a ward, but like you said, he was going to have to walk through this turret, I guess, regardless. We see RA going for it. They do buy space, but at the same time, Cube does get caught out by the members of WE. Luoyan runs forward. He's trying to find the picks necessary. iBoy once again going in on top of Emong was nice to see, but Luoyan just a bit too far forward, doesn't have the support of his team while those inhibitor turrets are still up. But ultimately, it was a 1-for-1. You got the turrets, you got the inhibitor, and you got the dragon. RA are feeling great.
They are feeling absolutely fine. Baron up in 15 seconds, and with the super minions crashing in, there's just nowhere really for Team WE to find a moment's breath. A moment's of respite is missing. Now might be finding himself in a little bit of trouble. Misses the dredge line to jump straight in on top of Jomong, who does not have the feathers to fly on top of. So they are just going to take down the missing and then try and jump back on top of him. Jomong forced to flash away. Great Zhonya's from iBoy completely negates the unleashed power, and now nowhere to go, Syndra. I'm very, very sorry. RA with a clean bot lane focused game, able to just absolutely outmaneuver and just outthink Team WE in this game.
I love seeing them keep up the momentum from their win against Rogue Warriors. They mentally reset, they come in strong. Luoyan, Fofo, and iBoy being the core of this new RA roster.
This is a fantastic first game from RA. Feels like they're reinvigorated, revitalized, and finally finding themselves their footing in these series. For Team WE, yes, they are playing with a substitute mid laner, but it just felt a little disconnected sometimes.
The thing that I kept